Most people believe their personality is who they are. But much of what you call yourself was built for survival. As a child, you didn't have the luxury of self-discovery. You had the responsibility of emotional adaptation. You learned what was safe, what was dangerous, what earned approval, what triggered rejection. And slowly, instinctively, your nervous system began shaping you, not into who you wanted to be, but into who you needed to be. Some became the responsible one, the caretaker, the peacemaker, the achiever, the invisible one, the emotional anchor, the strong one, the funny one, the easy one. Each role had a purpose: reduce conflict, maintain connection, preserve emotional safety. And the more effective a role was, the more your nervous system reinforced it, until it stopped feeling like a role and started feeling like identity. This is how survival personalities form. They are not chosen. They are conditioned. If you were praised for performance, you became competent. If you were rewarded for obedience, you became compliant. If you were noticed only when useful, you became helpful. If emotional expression caused tension, you became quiet. If vulnerability caused withdrawal, you became strong. If conflict felt dangerous, you became agreeable. If chaos surrounded you, you became hyper-responsible. And slowly, your nervous system learned, being myself is risky. Being this version is safe. Over time, this emotional armor becomes automatic. You anticipate others' needs before they speak. You scan emotional shifts instantly. You manage moods. You absorb tension. You regulate environments. Not because you're kind, but because your nervous system equates control with safety. This is why so many deeply empathic people are chronically exhausted. They are not just living, they are monitoring. And monitoring consumes enormous energy. Eventually, this creates a strange internal split. There's the version of you the world sees: capable, calm, reliable, strong. And then there's the version only you feel: tired, overwhelmed, uncertain, emotionally hungry. But showing that inner version feels dangerous, because once it was. So you carry both, and the cost is enormous. This is how emotional armor leads to burnout. Not because you're doing too much, but because you're being too much. You're carrying emotional weight that was never yours to hold. You're managing emotional climates. You're stabilizing relationships. You're containing unspoken tension. You're performing emotional labor constantly. And no nervous system can sustain that forever. Eventually, the cracks appear. Chronic fatigue, emotional numbness, loss of motivation, depersonalization, identity confusion. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system is exhausted from decades of vigilance. And then something destabilizing happens. You begin to feel disconnected from yourself. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you feel. You don't know who you are without your roles. And this can feel terrifying because if your identity was built around survival, What happens when survival is no longer the primary threat? This is the moment many people misinterpret as depression, failure, or loss of purpose. But psychologically, it's something else entirely. It's identity recalibration. Your nervous system is finally sensing enough safety to loosen the armor. And when the armor softens, what emerges is unfamiliar. Because the authentic self was never fully developed. It was paused, protected, waiting. This is why healing often feels destabilizing. Because you're not just changing behaviors, you're renegotiating identity. You're learning to exist without hyper-control, without emotional overfunctioning, without constant performance. And that can feel like losing yourself before finding yourself. This is where many people get stuck. They feel the emptiness, but don't yet feel the freedom. So they rearm. They overwork. They overgive. They overfunction. They return to familiar roles. Not because they want to, but because safety feels familiar, and unfamiliar feels unsafe. But here's the deeper truth. Your survival personality protected you. It kept you connected. It kept you safe. It kept you emotionally alive. It deserves respect, not resentment. But it was never meant to become your permanent identity. It was meant to get you through, not define who you are. Now comes the real question. If you no longer need to survive, who are you allowed to become? And what would it feel like to exist without armor? That's where the next transformation begins. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe for more content and future uploads. We deliver interesting psychologies and neuroscience facts in a compact format. Have a nice day. We will see you in the next episode.